Hello there, this is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. My name is Ijeoma Innocent and these are the top stories. Labour tackles Uzodinma as governor says NLC president is meddling in politics. APC kicks over alleged planned UK protest against Tinubu. PDP spokesperson Boala says idea to purchase presidential yacht was made to incite Nigerians, and Kaduna Baptist student released after 2 years in captivity. On the foreign scene, Blinken meets Netanyahu to push for concrete steps to protect Gaza civilians. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The World News at 12 begins with the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and sister unions on Thursday vowing to take action against the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma following the brutalization of the NLC President Joe Ajaero in Owerri, the Imo State capital, on Wednesday. You will recall that Governor Uzodinma, while reacting to the crisis on Thursday, had accused the NLC President, who is an indigene of Imo State, of meddling in the state's politics. Uzodinma said Ajaero must learn to draw a line between his role as a Labour leader and being a partisan Imo State indigene. The governor accused the leader of trying to blackmail his government over non-payment of salaries, insisting that all Imo workers have been paid their due wages. You will recall that the NLC president was brutalized by policemen in Owerri, the Imo State capital, on Wednesday when he went to mobilize workers for a strike. The NLC president had, during a press briefing on Sunday, accused the Imo State government of violating the rights of the Nigerian workers in the state and therefore vowed to mobilize members of the union in the state for a protest. The head of information of the NLC, Benson Opa, said Ajaero was picked up at the state secretariat of the NLC in Owerri and taken to an unknown location, after which he reappeared hours later, brutalized. The NLC has accused the state government of masterminding the attack on Ajaero, who was injured and hospitalized. The governor, who said he does not interfere with labor matters, noted that he has convinced his workers in Imo State to believe in him and that trust is what opposition parties are trying to fight. Meanwhile, the leadership of the All Progressives Congress APC UK chapter has kicked against the planned protest by a group against President Bola Tinubu in London, saying such a move remains a misadventure. Mr. Tunde Doherty, chairman of the UK chapter of the ruling party, disclosed this in a statement today. Doherty, who is also the APC Committee of Diaspora chairman, said he felt compelled to respond to the recent allegations and statements made by a group led by Aisha Yusufu, an activist and a supporter of the Labour Party. He stated that the group was planning to stage a protest in London to propagate their claims about the educational credentials of the president. Meanwhile, Daniel Boala, a legal practitioner and spokesperson of the Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign during the 2023 presidential election, has commended the House of Reps for removing the controversial 5 billion naira presidential yacht from the 2023 supplementary budget. You will recall that the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, Abubakar Bichi, had told journalists that the controversial presidential yacht was removed by the committee. He stated that the 5 billion naira was moved to the student loans, increasing the allocation for student loans to 10 billion naira as against 5 billion naira. Reacting to the development via his X account, Boala stated that the yacht idea was made public to incite Nigerians and to disturb public peace. He wrote, and I quote, "God bless Nigeria's House of Reps for listening to the public outcry of Nigerians and scrapping the scam called the budget for the yacht for Mr. President. The idea behind buying the yacht must have been made to incite Nigerians and to disturb public peace. Let the poor breathe. Don't suffocate them, please." End quote. Well, now joining me to discuss this and other issues on the World News at 12 this afternoon, I have with me Mr. Moses Adebayo, a political and social affairs analyst and commentator. Good afternoon, Mr. Adebayo.
Hello, Ijeoma.
It's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
All right,
and
then.
You always sounded eloquent.
Thank you so much. Let's begin with the NLC and what we can call their squabble with the Imo State governor and, of course, his administration. I'm talking about Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. The NLC has tackled Uzodinma. Meanwhile, the governor has said that the NLC president, Joe Ajero, was meddling in state politics. He said, as an indigene of Imo State, the NLC president, could not draw a line between being a labor leader and a partisan indigene of the state, saying that the protest that they embarked on was not just because he was the labor leader, but because he wanted to cause problems for the Hope Uzodinma-led administration of Imo State. How do you weigh into this?
Well, let me say that this is like Act 2, Scene 3 in anything called literature. But on a more serious note, when issues like this come up, you have so many spin doctors. It's a political season and there will be much interpretation. I am totally against the brutalization of the NLC chairman. No, you don't go that way. It's a democracy. We don't act as though we are in a dictatorship, or maybe there is one head of state, minister of state out there. For the commissioner, I listened to him, but I've concluded that the vote on Saturday or in 2 of this time will speak very loudly of all they've done. For Tony Ajero, I would have said this earlier if I had any meeting with him. Anything we do now, when it's any political system, even when you take a cup of water, that nobody frowns at the way you normally take it and drink the cup of water. But once the political system, all manner of meanings will be read into it. So if he's going to Imo State to protest for what is their right, it's out of place. But there will be, meanings have been read into it. Is it this, is it that? Oh, national chairman meddling. What is the proof that is meddling? Because sometimes some of our commissioners, excellencies, they can be flippant with words. Do you have evidence to prove that he came to meddle into politics or he came to protest? Because I am always irate when I hear that wages are being owed, salary has not been paid. And if we find someone that wants to stand to fight, I think the way to go about is to intimidate. That's not the way to go. Again, I say this, it's a political season and all manner of spin doctors will come out. But let the government know that the electorate is king, especially in the season like the one you need them the most. If they've not performed, they know that they have less than 7 or 8 days to stay in the office until they hand over. And if they have performed, as I said on Wednesday, you're one of this very lovely platform matters, that I will implore that we go out en masse to vote. I will implore my brothers in the southeast, those that are not there, those that are in Lagos or other parts of it, please encourage everyone back home to go and vote. And let the vote speak loudly. Let it be a verdict on his government. If Hope Uzodinma has done very well, let him continue. If he has not done very well, from sinners, from what I hear left, right, and center, then let him be voted out. It's that simple. But for Tony Ajero, I hope he's recovering, because for me, human life, human angle is always the most important. Every other item of news will come below the human angle. Hope he's fine wherever he is.
Is it really that simple, Mr. Adebayo? You talk about it being so easy to just vote out a non-working governor in a state where this has been happening over and over again. The governor says he's not owing workers, and then we spoke about.
Are you insinuating?
I'm not insinuating. The governor Uzodinma actually says he's not owing workers. So what then is the NLC? What are they protesting about? What are they protesting against? If the governor really says the state is not owing workers.
Oh, you think he will come out to say that he owns workers? No, he won't come out to tell you that. The policy about deniers and counter deniers. But again, whether or not he owns workers will be reflected in how people vote. Don't forget there are demographics when it comes to voting. You have the adults, young adults. If you want to see from another dimension, you have the youth, you have ladies, you have gentlemen, and all manner. You have workers, non-workers, you have skilled or unskilled laborers. So many demographics. If indeed he claims to be what he has always told the press, it will be found out. I mean, there are no hiding places. Look, I maintain that last election, the general election of February 25th and March 28th, is it March 11, 18 now? They were not perfect, and there's no perfect election anywhere. It's conducted by man. But it reflected to a considerable level that truly votes count. I keep saying, how do you account for these emperors? And when you compare Governor Hope Uzodinma, who they call Supreme Court governor, because I like it when I hear that, it's funny to me. When you compare with men like this past.
Are you with me, Mr. Adebayo? Hello, Mr. Adebayo, are you there? All right, then we will try to reach Mr. Adebayo one more time while the World News at 12 continues. While we try to reach Mr. Moses Adebayo, we'll continue with the world news at 12, where a kidnapped student of the Bethel Baptist High School, Treasure Ayuba, has been released by bandits. Welcome, Mr. Adebayo. Can you hear me now?
Oh, thank you.
We were experiencing a very terrible network glitch right there. The mobile network literally went off.
Almost the whole day, so it's understandable.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Yes, please go ahead.
When governors that are served 2 times, Ugwuanyi of Enugu State, Samuel, or some of Benue State, and their life, they are served 2 times as governors, yet they could not win the Senate seat. That's to tell you something. And I keep saying, the most powerful official, as a public officer in Nigeria, by far, is the governor. Forget the president. That's the center. These governors they live like that, they are almost gods. They pocket their House of Assemblies. They don't, and yet they couldn't win a third of their state as in by central district. So that tells that, and not talk of even in a staggered election time like this, where security will be so beefed up. In the last election, general elections, some of these governors we know how they can play hanky-panky. They could either have rigged or influence certain things. They could not. How much less when all eyes are just one state or 3 by extension now by and Kogi. But for all, if it has not worked, really, it will be rooted out. I can say that unequivocally. And I can, as I said before, and I still maintain, my experience with staggered elections like this is that security is always at its optimum. People are that in life to be preserved, no doubt about that. Another good example, even that's why they said that election will not hold. So they don't want handsomely because people came out to vote for him. So in this case, if he has not performed, the votes will reflect, and that's all I can say from here.
I would ask, what would you expect from the NLC from here on, apart from tackling the governor by saying, oh, what he has done is brutalization and they're not happy about it? Would you expect them to take the legal route in this case? Yes.
As I once said, I'm posited. This is a republic. We are governed by laws. So if you feel your right has been infringed upon, you have every right to approach the court. I think that Nigeria should sue. Because I think I saw it was in the left eye now, was almost blocked on, I think, was almost destroyed. I'm still saying that let him just get well quick, speedy recovery I wish him. Yes, they can sue. No doubt about that. You don't go that low, all because you want to send a message. Even if you had come around for any political reason, you could have done this with modicum of dignity. Not to that extent, not when blood is being shed, no. So they have every right to sue. And I think they should approach the court, really.
All right, then let's move forward, Mr. Adebayo, and talk about the leadership of the All Progressives Congress in APC, that's the APC UK chapter, kicking against the planned protest by a group against President Bola Tinubu in London. The APC UK chapter has said such a move is a misadventure. Now, they spoke after hearing these are on recent allegations and statements made by a group led by Aisha Yesufu, who is an activist and a supporter of the Labour Party. He stated that the group was planning to stage a protest in London to propagate their claims about the educational credentials of the president, which the Supreme Court has already spoken on. Now, I'd like to make some quotes which are coming from Mr. Tunde Doherty, who is chairman of the UK chapter of the ruling party. He says, we firmly believe it is our responsibility to address this matter and underscore the significance of relying on substantiated fact over premature and unsubstantiated allegations. It has come to our attention that a group is organizing a protest in London to propagate unfounded claims about the educational credentials of President Bola Tinubu. Right now, I would really like to speak on this, Mr. Adebayo. Apparently, a group wants to go on a protest in London, that's in the UK, to still talk about this same CSU certificate and educational credentials issue that the appeal court, and rather the Supreme Court, has spoken on, that the Supreme Court refused to admit as fresh evidence in Atiku's case against the president. This protest, this alleged protest, this protest that they are planning to go on, will it yield anything, or would you say it's a waste of time?
Well, no. Protest is never a waste, never. It's always a medium, an avenue to express your grievances. And I heard you mention Tony Doherty. Look at, I do consider politicians. If I get my facts right, Tony Doherty was an active member of the PDP for some years. If I get my facts right, today the table has turned. So that's why I don't take many of these politicians seriously. What are they afraid of? Truth is, the protest for now will not change the status quo as given by verdict a few weeks back by the Supreme Court. But it's a democracy, and don't forget, it's another crime whereby protest is ever welcome and controlled. Here, I don't say anything why we shouldn't protest, but over time, the police should be involved in protecting lives. They can guarantee that in the UK. So today, Doherty and the zealous and thou protector of the commander-in-chief, Bola Tinubu, you don't need to do that. And as a matter of fact, once those who want to protest in the UK have obtained the right permit, they get the right permit, they can go ahead and protest. It won't change anything, as I said, in the status quo. Mine is just that I hope that, especially His Excellency, former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, will not assume the role of being the true opposition leader. As far as I'm concerned, sorry, whoever is going to be hot now, I think Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has had his day in the sun. So Peter Obi should rightfully step into the real opposition now. He gets a brilliant, fight at the last election. He came in very late in the game and he still was able to ruffle feathers. So for the protest in the UK, over there, you don't tell Nigerians do not declare what happens in their clans to them. They should go ahead with it. Of course, I know they will be peaceful. They should be peaceful. It's a controlled environment, and let them make their grievances known. CSU has said this, court has said that, but let them still go ahead and protest. It's a democracy, and where they want to protest, it's not North Korea. It's a democratic society. That's the United Kingdom. So they can go ahead and protest and make their grievances known. And if we won't prepare the ground for 2027, because in politics, sometimes a year is like a day. In less than 3 days now, if I put it in days now, in less than 3 years, Tinubu will face another election. And he has not performed, and it's all that has been said against him in this season, convincing many Nigeria that he should leave. They will vote him out. So they should go ahead and protest. And I know it's not violent. All
right, then. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebayo. Just before you leave, let's quickly talk about this situation where a PDP spokesperson, in the person of Daniel Bwala, has said that the idea to purchase... Yeah, the idea to purchase a presidential yacht was made to incite Nigerians. As it is right now, the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, that's Abubakar Bichi, told journalists that the controversial presidential yacht, the fund, has been removed by the committee and it was moved to the student loans. The allocation for student loans has now increased to 10 billion naira with the addition of the 5 billion naira which was meant to be used for a presidential yacht. And Bwala is saying, look, this was done purposely to incite Nigerians. He says he thanked the House of Reps actually for listening to the public outcry of Nigerians and scrapping the scam, according to him, called Budget for Yacht for Mr. President. He said the idea behind buying the yacht must have been made to incite Nigerians and to disturb public peace. The thing is this, where did this idea come from? In the first place, that we need a presidential yacht. We know that many times when the president wants to move, he goes by air. So is this to test our waters, test our aquatic corridors? Where did that idea come in the first place? Right now it's moved to the student loans. Is that a development that you think is the right one? Is that something you're happy about? And also, what do you think of what Daniel Bwala has said? Were they just testing the mood of the people and to see how people will react to this?
Anyway, if they meant to toy with Nigerians with that ludicrous budget allocation, it's unfortunate. These are not lasting times at all. We know what we go through daily. So it's a joke, it's a practical one at that, and it's not funny at all. Eggs on their faces. But my choice is that it's my jurisdiction, the academic world. So if this has been transferred to 8 indigent students, then so the internet didn't even increase. And I think the House of Reps didn't go too far. What about the controversial 1.5 billion naira for an office that does not exist? That phantom office of the First Lady's office. I don't get it. I think they can still do better. Honestly, they can do better. With respect to what Bola said, is in opposition, and as I said, we need vibrant opposition. Look, APC's government today, I give it to them. In government, it's not done too well. Buhari was, Buhari delivered it too. I hope Tinubu will not go into it because I'm in Nigeria, I want to get the good. But when they were in the opposition, it did viable opposition. They put PDP on their toes, and at the point they came into power. But nowadays, what do you have about the opposition parties? They seem to be too lax for my liking. Honestly, a Senate House that has 8 Labour senators, almost 20 PDP senators, should give sometimes work out. That if you don't get this spec, you are only building your goodwill with Nigerians. We don't forget things like that. When you come to our side today, debunking the allocation they have for themselves, it's what you can vote because we know that these ones are empathetical. For the excuse, the very lame dead on arrival excuse that the yacht is or whatever. If you truly want
Nigerian Navy,
the waterways, it should be a gunboat. The yacht is known for pleasure. So there is no way they want to spin this around. Let all these spin doctors of the president tell us nothing. If truly they want the naval officers or the Nigerian Navy to be in charge and for security purposes, is trying to convince the world, they should have gone for a gunboat. That one is for war, for business, to secure. A yacht is simply for pleasure. So that knocks it out. And thumbs up to the House of Rep for turning that down. And I think they should still go a step further. That 1.5 billion naira for the office of the First Lady is unnecessary and should be scrapped immediately.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moses Adebayo, for joining me on the World News at 12. I really appreciate your presence, your input, and your analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Still on the World News at 12, a kidnapped student of the Bethel Baptist High School, Treasure Ayuba, has been released by bandits. You will recall that Ayuba was part of the students kidnapped by bandits on July 5, 2021 at Maraban Damishi in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. In the early hours of July 5, 2021, bandits invaded the school and kidnapped 121 students to an unknown destination. However, 120 abducted students of the school were released after ransom payment, but one student, that is Ayuba, was left with the bandits after a ransom was paid for him too. According to Arise News, Ayuba was released by bandits on Thursday and has been taken to an undisclosed hospital for a medical checkup. The freed student has been linked with his parent, and the release of Ayuba, with the release of the student, all the kidnapped students have regained their freedom so far. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 9.3 FM. After the break, we bring you stories on the foreign scene. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Blinken has met with Netanyahu to push for concrete steps to protect Gaza. The U.S. top diplomat is meeting Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, seeking concrete steps to minimize harm to civilians in Gaza. Earlier, Israel's military said it had completed the encirclement of Gaza City and was attacking Hamas infrastructure. About 100 British nationals are on the list of people approved to leave Gaza today via the Rafah crossing into Egypt. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 9,000 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip since October 7. Israel began its operation after Hamas killed more than 1,400 people in Israel and kidnapped more than 200 others. Meanwhile, the leader of Lebanese Islamist group Hezbollah, considered a terrorist group in the UK and US, will speak later as the group intensifies its attacks on Israel. The Israeli government says it's sending Gazans working in Israel back to the besieged enclave, but has not given details. And that's it on the World News at 12. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that the NLC has tackled Governor Uzodinma as he says Ajero is meddling in politics. The APC has kicked over an alleged planned UK protest against President Tinubu. PDP spokesperson Boala says idea to purchase presidential yacht was made to incite Nigerians. And Kaduna Baptist students released after 2 years in captivity. On the foreign scene, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets Israeli president to push for concrete steps to protect Gaza civilians. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Ijeoma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM for coverage of your live events and brand news mentioned in the news bulletins. Do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Please stay tuned. Matters comes up next.